This is the Long Story Longer podcast with Rene Rodriguez. This week's guests, Adam and Drew Tellez of Yolotli. So what's up, everybody? This is Rene Rodriguez, and again, I'm here with Adam.
What's up, guys?
Drew from Yolotli.
Hello, hello.
And I already fucked up real quick, but that's all gravy. I'm going to show you Drew right there right quick.
Hello,
You
everybody.
got to pay attention. And we've got Adam right here.
What's up?
Brothers in the Yolotli band. And Adam also happens to be the vocalist for my project with my boy Ryan, where One Star Day.
Yes, sir.
So right quick, so again, we were talking earlier, having dinner here at my house and having a great old time, just shooting the shit. I'd ask you guys, let's talk about your childhood, man. You guys are from what side of town and all that?
We are from a little farm town called La Union, New Mexico. We were, both of us. I know I was born in El Paso. I think Adam was born in Las Cruces, but we grew up on a farm, La Union, New Mexico. There's a wine fest out there. There's the corn maze, famous for that. We grew up pretty much a rock's throw from all that. So we're farm boys. We grew up that way. We're I would say we're pretty rare. My parents are still married to this day. In this day and age. So
Yeah, my parents are still married too.
Yeah. So I think we
fortunate.
Very fortunate. Yeah. And so that's how we grew up. I don't want to age ourselves too much, but before cell phones and before internet and technology took up too much. So we did spend a lot of time outside, riding bikes and throwing rocks and whatever else, being pretty typical boys, man. Getting into one of my favorite words from the movie Home Alone is mischief, getting into mischief with each other. So to this day, it hasn't, I think the mischief is a lot lighter than it was then, but we're still trying.
Right.
You can't get into mischief with bad knees, bro. So.
So yeah, that's pretty much where we grew up. Getting into what brought us all here together at some point. I know you and Adam have been friends for a really long time, but I think what brought us up mostly here together to get to know each other and bond is music, right? I would say.
Correct. Oh yeah.
And we probably got that from my dad. My dad's a drummer to this day. I know. For a matter of fact, Friday night, him and his band from when they were in their teens, practiced. So
right.
I don't know how many years later, but they're still doing it. So that musical, the blood came from my dad's side or my dad for sure.
And what's your dad's group's name?
They're called Los Chavos. They're a bunch of dudes in their 60s who still go by Los Chavos. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. I have a poster from when they used to play weddings and quinceañeras when they were Los Chavos still.
Right on. Hell yeah, man.
And I think I still I know I have it somewhere, and I know I framed it, but it's them with their 1970s hair, and their 1970s outfits, the bell bottoms and the cool shoes and all that stuff that doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately.
Right. And you chose drumming because of your dad directly, or?
No, you know what? I chose drumming because I'm a terrible guitar player. The instrument that I wanted to play more than anything in the world was guitar. I wanted to be a guitar hero. I wanted to wail. I wanted to play solos. I wanted to be Kirk Hammett and Dimebag Darrell and, all these guys. And my mom bought me a Sears guitar at a pawn shop in Las Cruces. This is one of those guitars that had the little speaker built into it.
Right.
Piece of crap. She bought it for me though, and I tried to learn a guitar.
Was that a Silvertone or an Airliner or some shit like that?
I don't even know what the brand was. It wasn't even a Squire. It was just something that I saw. I don't know why. I was in Las Cruces with her one day as a kid. I must have been in fourth grade, and we walked in. I don't even know why we went. I think I begged her to go to a pawn shop to check out the musical instruments. And there was this guitar on the wall. It was probably a whole $50. It took 2 AA batteries to get the speaker to work. It sounded like crap. It sounded like absolute garbage. And she bought it for me. We took it home. I tried playing it over and over. I just couldn't do it. And at that point, so there's three of us. It's Adam, myself, and I have an older. We have an older brother, Adrian, who's also a musician. So
Right.
we came up together, and he is a drummer. So my parents had bought him a drum set off of the Thrifty Nickel, not even Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, but back then there was a thing called the Thrifty Nickel.
Yeah, I remember the 50 nickel.
So they found him a. I remember we went to some guy's house in Northeast El Paso to buy it. I don't even know how much they spent. They spent for that drum set, and it wasn't bad. But it was called a star drum set. It had a star on the kick drum head, and it was so. At that point, I think I was in elementary school, and my older brother was in middle school. We were 3 years apart, so I would get home from school just a little bit earlier than him. So while he was still at school, I'd sneak into his room and play drums.
Right, right, right.
And he didn't know until I
Fucking,
started breaking sticks and cymbals and stuff like that. And and the drums just came naturally to me. I started playing, and it just
you didn't have a stepbrothers moment with that drum set at all.
my junk on his cymbals. No, I would do the same thing with his shirts, man. Because back then, Metallica shirts, Nirvana shirts, Soundgarden shirts.
Right on, yeah.
I'd wear them to school because he would leave before me and get home after me. So I'd wear them to school, put them on before, after he left, and take them off before he got home, and he'd have no idea that I was wearing his metal shirts to school, and
Yeah, it's funny you say Soundgarden because that's the first band that I got into, and one of the main reasons I got into Soundgarden first was because of the shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Super Unknown was a great album, and the video for it for Black Hole Sun was great.
Yep.
But I remember we'd gone to Cielo Vista Mall, and we came across Down on the Upside shirt that was like on clearance. They had the rack at the front of the store,
Right.
and I saw that shirt, and I knew who Soundgarden was, and of course, a bunch of my friends are already into rock music and stuff. A bunch of them are wearing Megadeth and Metallica mainly. And I knew I liked Soundgarden. I didn't know a whole lot about music yet, but I knew that I like Chris Cornell's voice and all that junk. And yeah, that was my first favorite band, kind of because of the shirt.
Yeah. And for me with Soundgarden, it was so we didn't have cable growing up, and my grandmother, my abuelita,
Right,
her house had cable because my uncle lived with her at the time, so he bought the cable, and they had MTV. So we
right.
would beg to go stay at her house so we could stay up late watching videos. And the first thing I came across from Soundgarden was Spoon Man.
Hell yeah.
And just, the guy playing spoons, on a rock song. And from there, you
Who was a real dude, I believe.
yeah, it was a real guy. I don't know if he was from Seattle or he was a big city guy, Chicago, Seattle, whatever. And he made the spoons an instrument,
Right.
interestingly enough. But yeah, that's how I got into drums, and I never stopped, And even when I got into like school band, I didn't play drums in school band. I went to play the trumpet because when I tried out for drums, I was already better than the guys who were trying out for the drum line. Now that they obviously eventually well surpassed me in skill, as far as actual rudiments and stuff like that goes.
Right.
I'm not a trained drummer. I don't know rudiments. I can't read drum music at all.
Just natural.
It's just natural. It's just playing by ear, playing by heart, pretty much. So that's my pretty much story of how I started. Adams is pretty much similar, but obviously different. He plays multiple instruments, so
Adam was hiding in the shadows watching you guys play.
I guess so. Because he's still 3 years younger than me, so he was a little guy back then. He was, I think I started playing drums at about 8 years old. I think I played my first quote unquote concert show at like 12.
Right.
It was like a church kermesse or something, right? But that was my first show in my opinion. At that point, Adam was 9 years old, 8 years old. When I started playing, he was 5.
Right.
So I guess he was just watching and taking it all in because he he ended up being a far better musician than any of the older siblings, So he either it was natural to him or he just really, really, really absorbed a lot of what he was watching.
You mentioned the church bazaar, the kermesse, and it's funny because one of the first bands I was in, Nerd Alert, Rebel Alliance was the name, I think, after Star Wars. We played at a church bazaar, and we probably played 2 or 3 songs. I can't remember. And we probably played Paranoid twice over by Black Sabbath, and not the best choice for a church. I remember a guy walking by the front going, boo. But yeah, man, church fairs are the best, though, regardless.
You have a built-in crowd, man. There's
yeah.
always people there. They go for gorditas and stay for the music. I
Oh
hope.
yeah, yeah. We had a few people that did watch us play, but we were nowhere near ready to be playing in front of anybody either. So
That's how you get your. That's how you cut your teeth like this.
Oh, yeah.
Man, you got to do it.
Yep. And you, Adam?
I mean, like Andrew mentioned, I grew up with both of my, well, to begin with, my dad playing. But I think by the time I came around, he was more so doing the whole, father work thing. I don't think at that point he was playing much when I was growing up. But my brothers had started playing. Like Andrew said, they would do little church shows or gigs outside Sonic or here and there. They were in cover bands and
A
stuff.
lot of block parties.
Yeah, little neighborhood block parties and stuff like that. And I mean, I grew up wanting to be like them.
Right.
I grew up wanting to be like them. So I would fiddle around with. I tried to this day too. Like he says, like Andrew says, the one thing he wanted to do was be a guitar player. I wanted more than I still to this day wish I was a drummer.
Right.
Like I see live drummers and like the way Andrew plays and even like we do video shoots now for Yolotli and I'll sit at the drum set and like air drum and like go off like crazy. Like, dude, I wish I was doing this shit. Like, I wish this was my instrument.
It's a lot more complicated
But
than it looks.
I can't carry a
The
beat
second you sit
to
on the
save my
throne,
life, dude.
The
I
second you sit on the
cannot.
throne, it's a different ball game.
Like, that little beat that first beat everybody learns, like, I can't even carry it.
Everyone tries to learn the intro to Smells Like Teen Spirit. So.
Right.
But yeah, I kind of grew up as a kid, idolizing my brothers, and I would pick up, instruments that were lying around the house because of them. But eventually, I kind of figured out that my oldest brother, Adrian, was, he was, at that point, he was playing guitar and singing. Andrew was a drummer. So I figured, like, well, maybe someday I can end up playing with him. I'm going to pick up the bass. Like, so, if nothing else, if all else fails, it could be the three brothers and, we'd have all the instruments covered. So I think it was about 13, 14 years old that I convinced my parents to buy me a bass guitar. And I started picking it up. And I got pretty good at it, man. I was learning at that time. My favorite bands as far as bass playing goes was Incubus, 311, stuff like that, like real funky stuff. So Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Right.
So that's the style of bass that I was picking up and going for. And I progressed pretty quick. But there came a time when one of their later bands was looking for a guitar player. One of their guitar players, I think they had gotten fed up with him because he was, I don't know, he was acting like a jerk, and they said, nah, we need to replace this dude. And so, like how Andrew says secretly that at that point he was learning, when he was younger, he was secretly learning drums.
Right.
I sort of pulled the same thing, and I started learning guitar on my own too. And I remember they were looking for a guitar player, and I at that point I was 16 years old.
Yeah. 15 maybe.
I told him, hey, I learned all you guys shit, like all the original stuff. I'm like, yeah, at this point I know your guys' whole set. Like you guys don't have to look for anybody else, So they're like, what? So yeah, sure enough, I went to a jam. They were like, all right, let's give this kid a shot and see what this is all about.
And real quick, were those that set, was that original music or covers?
It
or
was all original. At that point, they were a full original band. They had been for a few years by that point. So I learned all their original stuff, and I took it to a jam. They're like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of undeniable that we would. No, you know what it was? It was that my oldest brother wanted to try just singing, because at that point he was playing guitar and singing, and he wanted to be just a live singer. So that was the reason why I wanted to jump into the band with him. So I told him, like, hey, I know your shit, dude. I can play the set front to back. So that was the reason. So I tried out for them, and yeah, it stuck, and we hit the ground rolling. For a few years, we played it with that lineup.
And to add to that, him learning the set was one thing, because learning somebody else's songs,
right,
you can do. But then he came in with original material to start writing songs, because that's where it gets.
That's a world of difference, because
either you can or you can't, And he came in with ideas for original songs, guitar riffs, intros, and it fit perfectly. It was a no brainer, So we went forward with it. So just to interject that there.
Yeah, and I kind of came in. I don't know if it was just that I was the young gun or what, but I think at that point when I joined the band, they were doing all drop D stuff,
Right.
and I was like, dudes, we need to go lower. We need to go
Mm-hmm.
to a lower tuning. So I came in with drop C, and the majority of the stuff that we wrote once I joined that band was drop C stuff. So it was a little on the heavier side. So.
And
But
that dropsy was inspired by what band, give or take?
you know what? At that point, I was in high school. My favorite bands at that point was I don't know if you've ever heard of a band called 36 Crazy Fists.
No.
They're I guess you could categorize them as a new metal band. There was another band that I really liked a lot called El Nino. They were in drop C, so I started learning a lot of their songs on guitar, and then that just kind of spearheaded me writing my own stuff in that tuning, and I took it to the band, and they're like, "Yeah, this sounds really good." So yeah, we started writing stuff in drop C, and the other guitar player that was my predecessor, he was all on board on going lower and heavier too, so it worked out really well.
Right.
But I mean, that's pretty much how I came into playing music. I in high school I did start out like I played with other dudes my age. I was always a little bit younger than my brothers, but my goal I think secretly was always to come up and play in a band with them. So yeah, eventually I ended up doing that, and that's pretty much how I got into it. I was in marching band too. Like I followed in their footsteps as far as that goes too. So we were, I mean, fully musical household, So since we were little kids, so it was sort of a matter of following in their footsteps too. But yeah, I kind of hit the ground running, and I think pretty quickly I got up to their level. So
And it was you hear this a lot. Most anybody you hear or you listen to that's a musician, you hear I came from a musical household. But not only in the case that one of our parents is a musician,
Right.
but there was a lot of music playing. You know, anything from Michael Jackson to Rod Stewart to Los Bookies to just so much different kind of music. Um, I think everybody as a drummer's one of their first goals as a drummer is to play the the little solo in that song Wipeout,
Right.
and the band my dad was in, they were a cover band. They were a top at that time top 40, whatever you would consider a top 40 band.
Right.
But they would play like the cumbias, the all that stuff. They'd play rock and roll, Johnny Be Good, and Wipeout, and whatever people want to dance to at a wedding or a quinceañera. So we had all those songs playing in our house since I can remember,
Right.
and just hearing different types of music, different genres, different styles. I think it was without us even realizing it was an inspiration,
Right. Right. Right.
without even knowing it at the time.
Yeah, we're very similar in that. So my mom would listen to everything from Tina Turner, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Patsy Cline, all that stuff.
Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
So there was always music playing in the car, at home. I remember one time I was shit. I must have been 3 or 4 or 5 years old, and my mom was playing whatever Michael Jackson CD, not a CD tape, record, probably
Right.
cassette tape, or even actual vinyl record. And Michael Jackson has a song called "Dirty Diana." And my mom's name is Diana. So when I heard that song, I was like, turn this off. This song is stupid. Like, how can he be talking to you? At that point, you don't realize that there's probably
Right.
a million people in the world with that name. But I was like, what do why would he sing about you that way, Mom? Like, that's your mom. So just everything, you know, um, country, like, back in the day, the Waylon Jennings and the
Hell
Johnny
yeah.
Cash
Waylon Jennings.
and, the Highwaymen and just pretty much everything. So I think cliche, 100%. Music is in our veins, is in our blood. It's I I'll be sitting somewhere restaurant or volleyball game or work, and I'm drumming something on my fingers without even realizing it. There's some sort of beat going on.
Yeah, I catch Ryan doing that at
Yeah,
restaurants all the
yeah.
time.
Or there's times where I'm listening to a song that I've never heard of before. I don't know if you've seen that clip of Chad Smith doing that with 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I've done that where I'll listen to a song and in my head I'm like, this feel would be cool, and that's exactly what the drummer ends up actually doing on the recording. So I don't know if it's instinct,
Right.
luck. I could just be bullshitting my way through it. I don't know, but I think there's a certain beat that certain musicians walk with. I think it's probably the same with Adam. There's
Yeah,
probably
for sure.
melodies in his head. It's probably the same thing with you, where there's some sort of guitar line in your head that you either have hashed out, or you're going to, or you need to, and you eventually will
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
get there.
Yeah, so it's you were talking earlier about how with Adam coming in and being able to do original music, I think that was a great asset to have. I mean, all in all, if you're going to be a musician, it's best to have your own stuff anyway. But I know everybody's got a different experience, but in El Paso, for the most part, back in the day, you kind of had to be a cover band. I never appreciated that. Like
I think everybody cuts their teeth playing covers.
for sure, for
You
sure.
have to, because that's how you get your chops. You
Right.
get your chops, and you get a lot of your skill by playing covers. On another note, just kind of going back to regressing to Adam. So he came in with original music, and then we found out he could sing.
Right.
So once you can put his voice, which we all know is great,
Right.
to add melodies or backup parts, it was smooth sailing from there. But yes, back to your point of the cover bands.
Yeah, so I know because I played with a few guys and we never made any shows with the band that I think we should have started playing with. We were somewhat known as, so my buddy Roger plays real good bass. He can play any instrument. He's the one that played bass on Glow.
Right.
Roger can pick up any instrument and figure it out quick and was slapping that bass real good right off the bat. He's a virtuoso for sure. We practiced a lot, and we had another friend that sang with us, and Baltasar, our drummer back in the day, real good drummer too. We never played any shows, but just from our practices alone and some of the people that knew who we were, or whatever, oh, those are the guys that play the Chili Peppers or whatever. We were never that good, granted, but I wish we had played more, for sure. We had a good lineup, but for sure we threw in a couple of originals back in the day too, and nothing worth playing nowadays, but I think I've gotten better since, for sure, as far as that aspect goes. But another point I was going to make, though, was whenever we did try to look for a gig, whenever we knew a couple of songs, whatever, for the most part, some of these bars would ask for cover songs. Mm-hmm. How many songs you're going to play that are covers that are going to get the people jiving with you or jiving with the music all in all. And honestly, when I started playing guitar, for sure, I was into learning covers and trying to be like your favorite bands or whatever the fuck, right? But nowadays, ask me to play a cover, and I might know a snippet, but I try not to do it at all. It's just write something new, write something original, but it sucks. You go to a party or you go to a get together in Hotel California, play it for us, or you gotta play the standards, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I have never been big on playing covers either. I will admit that the very first song I ever performed, it was at my high school talent show. Well, two songs. The first song I ever performed as like a band with my friends was Linkin Park.
Right.
The first song that they came out with, One Step Closer. And I don't know how I ended up in this role, but they asked me like, "Hey, you want to come jam?" And at that time I already knew that I could sing, but they asked me to do the rapping parts. So in this lineup that we had, I was the rapper, and I was playing turntables.
You're the DJ.
And I'm like, I don't do either of these things, but they're like, "Oh, dude, you can play the turntables and do the rapping part." So that was the first thing I performed. And then at that same talent show, at that point, my oldest brother had backed me up to learn "Outside" from Aaron Lewis from Stained.
Right.
It was a big song at the time, so he backed me up on guitar, and that was actually like the first song that vocally I came out and sang. So I definitely started out with covers, and when I was learning guitar, I learned a few, but after I started writing original stuff, I never looked back. Like to this day, like I'm the same shit as you. Like if somebody asked me, like, "Hey, dude, play a whatever intro or play a Metallica," I'm like, I don't know how to play. I can't play Korn. I can't play Metallica. Like, dude, I had no idea. I think probably more so on bass because that was the first instrument I picked up, and I didn't have anybody to jam with, so I would throw CDs on and learn songs. But once I hit guitar, I'm like, dude, I don't know anybody shit. At some point, when I first started dating my wife, she asked me to learn. "Did I Let You Know" from Chili Peppers.
Right.
I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You want me to learn a Chili Peppers song? I'm like, I'm
you're
like
gonna
a
start
I'm like a
big.
metal player, but I did end up learning that song, and that was one of the funnest songs ever to play on guitar.
Dude, that's how I know you're a true fan, you and your wife, because that's one of those songs where
That's an obscure song.
you're gonna mention and not everybody's gonna know what
Yeah,
the fuck
and
that
you know
song
what?
is.
I
I've never heard it.
100%. I'll give credit to where it's due to my wife, because that's one of my wife's favorite Chili Pepper songs. And before her, I was like radio dude, all the radio hits and shit.
Right.
And I met her, and she's a big Chili Peppers fan too, but that's like one of her favorite songs. And she showed it to me. I'm like, holy shit, this is like one of the best Chili Pepper songs there is, dude.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how heartbroken I was when I found out that the Crazy Town song "Butterfly"?
Yeah, fucking Pretty Little Ditty.
And that was because
Dude.
Adam showed it
Yep.
to me. I mean, crazy. It's a stupid song, the Crazy Town version, but that's
It's just an instrumental that's like a minute and a half long, I
But
think, with the
that
Peppers.
guitar line is insanely good, and I never knew.
It hits, bro.
I never knew it was a sample from a Chili Pepper song till Adam told me. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, And I'm sure the Chili Peppers made a ton of money off of Crazy Town sampling that
Yeah.
and looping that part.
Such a terrible band, though, for sure.
I mean, when they came out, I'm not gonna lie, I
It
liked
sounds nice to the ear. It's
I liked
appealing.
it when I heard it, and of course,
Yeah.
I could probably still do that song in karaoke, dude.
And the thing is, that at the time, at the age I was when that song came out, this guy's singing about a girl.
Right.
And of course, there's that girl at that time in my life who I'm sure I related that song to, and it's like, I want her to be my butterfly. Blah, blah. It's cheesy bullshit right now, but back then, and that's what I struggle with now, right? As an adult, as a raising kids and stuff, is that I hear the music that they listen to, and I'm like, oh, this is garbage. This is crap.
It's trash.
But when I was coming up, I'm sure my parents had heard Crazy Town. They would have said,
Yeah.
this is garbage.
Oh, yeah.
This is trash. So it's all relative to the point in your life that you are in at that moment.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So it's hard to digest some days.
Yeah, so you guys were mentioning that talent show at the high school. Was it high school?
It was high school, yeah.
So I'm going to be embarrassed here in a bit, but so we had a band. It was still Rebel Alliance in high school.
Such a strong name.
Fuck, I fucking hate it now. But so our vocalist at the time, Carlos, his name was Carlos. He's not going to listen to this. I don't give a fuck. But so Carlos, they called him Chavelo. Carlos was the president of the Spanish club in high school, and they're the ones that organized it. We were trash. The embarrassing part, I'll get to that here in a minute. We were trash. We played a song that I wrote that was just progressive chords going backwards, da 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 da, whatever. He called it Revolucion. He was singing whatever garbage he was singing, whatever. Everybody at that time was a revolutionary, right?
Right, yeah, we were all rebels.
We got that Che Guevara belt buckle.
Yeah. We
Whatever.
had no idea what it meant.
I mean, the experience was great for sure. But we played Revolucion. We played Territorial Pissings by Nirvana,
Oh, man.
which is a great song. I still
Hell
love
yeah.
that one.
Have you heard El Nino cover that?
No, I haven't heard it.
Check it out.
Yeah, you got it.
I'll check it out. I'll check it out. But we played Territorial Pissings. We played, before I get to the embarrassing song, what was the other song that we played? I can't remember. But the embarrassing song was What's This Life For by Creed. We had,
Everybody hates to admit they like Creed.
yeah, it still hits sometimes.
They have a song called One.
Yeah, one's a real good song.
It's a really good song.
One's a real good. Well, My Sacrifice too, with that open tuning.
You know what?
I love that song.
The first time I ever heard My Own Prison That was their first single
Yeah.
by
Yep.
Creed.
Yep.
It's a great song, man.
Yeah, that's one of the first CDs I bought at Walmart.
Yeah.
Was their first album.
On a side note, that you're mentioning Rebel Alliance, have you heard of the band? What is it? Galactic. I think it's called Galactic Alliance or Galactic Empire.
Is that the one with the music video where
Where
they're shredding?
yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah, I had to ask you
Yeah.
because I'm like, dude, they do the march like heavy metal
Yeah,
style.
yeah.
I'm like, dude,
Yep.
this is the shit.
And it's got real good production too.
Yeah, I had to ask if you knew of that. 'Cause,
No, for
yeah.
sure. But going back real quick to that talent show that we had no place competing. I mean, we did good enough. I mean, I think we did great for beginners, right? This is me at 16, 17, having a gig at school. I won't name the big El Paso band that played there too. One of the biggest bands in El Paso played too. Well, no, they were supposed to play. They actually let some of the bands use their drum set too, which is kind of like shitty of everybody else. But we ran out of time. They didn't get to play. They're going to be the closers. And we somehow got second place. We had my buddy, so Roger that played with us on Glow.
Yeah.
Roger had his band with our buddy Slappy. Slappy's the one that got me into the Chili Peppers with a name like Slappy. Go figure,
Yeah,
right?
right.
But it was Roger, Slappy, Adrian on drums, and Raul on guitar. And these guys were covering like they were covering Metallica, Megadeth at their age, like pretty perfect, right?
Yeah.
Doing Hangar 18 and all that noise, Symphony of Destruction, everything that's good as far as metal back in those days. They played it kind of perfect, you know. We had there was no chance in how we would get second place,
Like,
but
we
because
had no business winning.
no
second
business, bro.
place.
But because of the president of the Spanish club was the organizer, we got second place conveniently.
Shit was rigged.
It's embarrassing, bro. It's embarrassing. But I mean,
That's as rigged as the NFL.
it's the experience, though, for sure.
You still felt good winning it though.
Nah, no, fuck no, fuck no, dude.
You knew it. You knew that it was rigged.
It was rigged, bro. It was garbage. Fun times, and you know what? What's sad is I think our drummer Oscar. I still talk to him a lot. He's a good dude. He's got a band with his boys too. He's got 3 sons, and they play a couple of gigs here and there.
Nice.
For the life of me, I can't think of the name right now. Anyway, but Oscar's dad, I believe, is the one that took video of us on VHS, and I think I was the last person to have the video, and I lost it. But I hope to someday find it because it's pretty cool just to watch us be a disgrace.
I think there's actually still VHS somewhere of the talent show that I'm talking about too. A buddy of mine named Danny texts me every once in a while. Him and I played in bands for a lot of years too. He played in a lineup with Drew.
Mm-hmm.
He texts me one day. He's like, dude, I think my mom still has the footage of our first,
Right.
first show, the talent show. I'm like, man, if she does, you have to dig it up so we can. I would love to see it, to see how bad it really was. But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I think there's still video floating around. I'm like, dude, you need to put that shit on YouTube, man, to check it out.
All these years later, because I've had the same phone number forever since I got my first phone. I would drop suppliers or whatever and get keep the same phone number, different suppliers, whatever. But I remember out of nowhere that Chavelo guy, the vocalist that we had, I don't know how he got my phone number, but he got my phone number somehow or other, and he was living in Denver, if I remember correctly, and he calls me up saying, hey, man, I need that video. I'm like, dude, it's going to be a hassle finding it, bro. Well, no, it's because we had this song. Again, it was a garbage performance. I appreciate the time again, but garbage performance. I need that video because I met these people that blah, 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 blah. And I think he name dropped the Mars Volta. And he was trying to impress somebody. I'm like, that's not going to impress anybody for one. It's not going to impress anybody at all. But he's all aggressive on the phone saying he needs that video. I'm like, if anything, have Oscar ask me for it and I'll look for it for Oscar. But no, I'm not going to look for it for this dude. Hell no. No, but yeah, that video wasn't that great. The memories for sure.
Yeah.
The memories are good. We cut our teeth playing Green Day songs.
Hell yeah.
That's when, Dookie was the shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's levels of music, right? As far as technicality and how difficult it is to play. Because it's hard to play a Megadeth song, it's hard to play a Slayer song, it's hard to play Lamb of God. but in its own right, it's equally hard to play Nirvana
Mm-hmm.
or Green Day or it's just. I think I look back. We were talking about this the other day at Yolotli practice, or I don't know if we were doing the video or we were doing something. We were doing some band um, thing, and I brought up I like talking to these guys, and I was like, "Hey guys, guilty pleasures.
Right.
Give me your guilty pleasure today, like right now." And everybody threw something out, and I think Adams was Justin Bieber, and I'm like, dude, like it's crazy how maturity um, changes a person. Because 20 years ago, I would have called him every name in the book, a pussy and a poser and whatever,
No.
you know, for liking this stuff. And then I think at some point you hit the point where you're like, hey man, a good song is a good song, and sometimes
Yeah, it
it's
is.
catchy, and you don't want to admit that you like this song, but a good song is a good song. You know, like even like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, you listen to that stuff back then. I would have you had to be this metal guy who was too cool for everything, and you had to wear black, and you had to look a certain way, and walk and talk a certain way. And then you kind of, as a musician, you grow, and you realize that somebody's writing this stuff.
Yeah, there's a science to it with
There's
everything
a
pop.
science to it, and it's a brilliant science because they know exactly what notes are going to get people to buy this thing, and what melodies and notes are going to fill a football stadium with Taylor Swift fans. It's brilliant.
And all these years later, you got Adam saying he's inspired by pop music as far as rock goes
Right.
with the metal
Right.
scene.
And it's brilliant because, I think musical maturity is one of the things that I wish I had discovered earlier as a musician rather than, probably when I wasn't even playing shows anymore, where I could finally admit, hey, I like this song. And because I had, when I was a metalhead and had I admitted that I liked, I don't even know what was popular at the time, anything on top 40 pop
Hmm.
radio, you would have probably been had all this trash talked about you, and they might have questioned your ability to play your instrument or the authenticity of your own band,
Right, right, right.
And so it was just
It's
funny. We do the guilty pleasures thing pretty often. And you get some pretty cool answers.
it's funny because I think it's still kind of programmed into us. Like even nowadays, um, I'm a Spotify user, and I'll go into random playlists to trying to discover new music, and every once in a while a song will come on, and you tell it to yourself like, oh, it's this artist, I can't like this song,
Yeah.
but at some point you just decide like, I don't care. Like if I like the song, I like the song. I don't care who the artist is. And like Andrew says, like if you go back in time, you would have been like,
Right.
no, dude, no way, I can't admit to liking this. But I remember a couple years back, my wife and I went to Vegas to see the Backstreet Boys,
Right.
and in high school, hell no, dude, like
Mhm.
no, that's
Don't want to be seen there.
yeah, that's BS, dude, that's a joke. And but so I gotta tell you, man, when they played Rock Your Body, I was like, dude, that's my shit. That's my song. Like that's a heavy song, dude. I mean, you could hear that. I think I've heard some bands do rock versions of that song, and it's sort of got that kind of built into it, that heaviness, like the aggressiveness. So I don't know. I guess it just comes with age. You're like, whatever, dude. I like what I like, and like absolutely Justin Bieber all the way. My wife gets annoyed because she's like, oh, all the controversy and all of whatever that goes around. Like I'm like, the kid can write a song and he can sing. I'm like, I don't really care what he does in his private or public life, but if a song comes on and I like it, anyone, dude, him, like a guilty pleasure for me. Others is like Post Malone,
I love Post
just
Malone.
shit like that. If I like it, I like it. There's even rappers that the only thing I won't get into is like the mumble rap stuff.
Nope.
But there is some stuff that's sort of on the verge of that. But I'll be like, it's a hook, it's a catchy song, dude. I'll add it to my songs. That's why I'm saying, like, at this age, I'm like, whatever, dude. If I like it, I like it. Fuck it.
And it's difficult because, like my daughters, for example, they like. Have you heard of Ivan Cornejo?
No.
Okay, So he's this young kid. He's like 20, maybe 20 years old. It's the Peso Pluma type
Right.
music.
That same
The,
vibe.
the corrido bajo,
Corrido.
I think they call it, something like
Yeah,
that.
and I personally cannot do it. And they played in their rooms and they played in the car.
Right.
And to me, this guy has a terrible voice, and the guitar sounds like absolute garbage the way they recorded it. But my wife took the girls to his concert at the Abraham Chavez, where he sold out 2 nights in a row in El
Right.
Paso in October. And who's playing that show? He is, and I'm not.
That's the inspiration there.
So I'm like, he's doing something right. As much as I want to say,
Precisely right.
this is, it's not for me, but in my opinion, I'm like, oh, I could tell the girls, like, this is crap. Like, this is garbage. This is, how can you like this? But at the same time, I think you could probably relate to me is a lot of times we listen to songs as musicians.
Right.
And people who are non-musicians listen to it in a different way.
Yeah, I'll be at a concert and everybody's bouncing around, whatever, and I'm focused on the guitarist at one point.
Right.
I'll switch over to another member, the bassist, for example. Peppers are a perfect band to do that with because you focus on Flea. He's jumping around everywhere, but you're watching what he's doing with his fucking hands.
Yep.
Watch John and do his thing, work his magic. Watch Chad Smith. Watch Anthony Kiedis do his thing. I'm not bouncing around. I'm just focusing on everything, taking it in. And, of course, I've seen the Peppers, I think it's 8 times already. The last 2 times with Ryan. So that was a different experience. I was a little bit more excited that time around because I'm watching my boy enjoy it, you know. And the second time recently that we went, the second time I took Ryan, was my brother Rudy's first time. So I'm actually
Seeing it through both of their eyes.
reliving
Yeah.
that moment through them, you know. So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's difficult being a musician. It's a blessing and a curse because you listen to stuff and like when that concert came around, the girls are like, "Hey, this guy's coming. Can we go?" And my wife and I are like, "All right, we're flipping a coin as to who's taking them because neither of us like the music." So she lost,
Right.
but she came back and she's like, "Hey, it was a really good concert." I'm like, get at me. What are you
Right.
talking about?
But that also works like on a local level with there were plenty of times that of course I was playing guitar in my bedroom, whatever, at my parents' house or whatever, or even in my older years playing guitar to myself, and we'd go check out local bands and some of them were terrible.
Yeah.
And you criticize the hell out of them and everything, and then you get home, you start thinking that you're like, they're up there and I'm not.
But I'm not right.
I might have a better piece of music that I haven't put out there and into the world yet, but at least they're doing something about it. Whereas I'm not doing anything. So it's inspiration too. I think
That's one of the things that I try to apply to music now. Is that you have, as much as you want to be artistic and creative, for me, I also approach it as entertainment.
exactly.
Because that's the thing is, those artists, they're entertaining this new generation. Maybe it's a generational thing because, if you would have shown my parents Chocolate Starfish from Limp Bizkit, they'd be like, or they were like, this is garbage, dude. Like, this is filth. What the hell are you guys listening to? So I think it's a generational thing where you fast forward to now we're the adults and we're like, yeah, this is crap. What are you, this is, corrupting your youth, your brain. And to a certain extent, I think it's a generational thing. But I think it's also just, it's shock value in some way or
For sure.
the stuff that these guys are talking about. But for me, I try to approach music now at my age as a form of entertainment too. As much as I want to be I don't really want to be the most artistic guy in the room. I want to write a catchy song. I think you've learned that about me through working with One Star Day and the stuff that we do with Yolotli. I want to write stuff obviously from inside my head and my heart, but I also want to write something that the general public doesn't have to think too hard about.
That's the thing is that the general public does not think too hard about it. They hear something they like, and they like it. And speaking of going back a few sentences to what Adam said, I've always wanted to tell you this. I think I might have probably told you through text, Rene.
Talk to me.
To me, as far as marketing and success and all those things go, a group, project, or band name is really important. Maybe it's not because Limp Bizkit is a ridiculous name, but they're huge. I always
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't make any sense. I've always loved the name One Star Day.
Thank you,
When
bro.
Adam told me what it was, the name of the group, I'm like, that's brilliant because you think back to, okay, we're gonna rate this restaurant 5 stars or 5 star hotel, 5 star chef, whatever. 1 star a day is something we've all had. And
Right.
we will all have at some point between now and the rest of our lives. So when Adam told me that, I was like, dude, I'm jealous. I wish I had come up with that name
So
for a band because it's brilliant.
so that came from. I used to work at Job and Cemex here in town, and back in those days, I worked there for 11 years. We'd buy the newspaper every day.
Yeah.
Always look at the horoscopes, and I've never been one to really believe them. But I remember, should I go into the story? I guess I will, right? So I remember having 1 star days
Yeah.
that were the best days of my fucking life too.
Right.
5 star days where nothing good happens, it's just a regular boring day. But I remember I was oblivious to getting flirted on, for instance.
Right.
We had a girl from Staples. She'd show up and take our supplies and everything, and always got real friendly with me, real touching my arm, whatever, And I was oblivious, like I said, and nothing ever happened. But she did end up giving me her phone number at one point. I can't remember what happened after that, but we never hung out or nothing. But I remember the day she gave me her phone number was a 1 star day,
Right.
and that surpassed a lot of
5 stars.
5 star days for sure. But I also remember, so I guess I never made it to Apple Music or anywhere. But I remember when I started tossing around the idea of a band name, that I thought of 1 star day as the oxymoron of the whole thing, right? I thought I found somebody with that band name somewhere. And then whenever we started our stuff together, that I couldn't find it anymore. So I'm like, I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
Because for a while there, I was thinking No Star Day. But it doesn't make as much sense. It still sounds cool, whatever. But 1 star day, I think it hits perfect. And I appreciate that from you, man.
I love that name. I think it's brilliant. And it's funny how we're talking about where we came up from, right? The old days. I remember I don't know if you're a fan of The Office.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's
More Parks and Rec, but yeah.
Okay. So in The Office,
We'll get into that on another show because that's a whole show right there.
I've got
in
Ron
itself.
Swanson somewhere back
Yeah.
here.
in The Office, there's I think it's probably one of the very last episodes of the
Right.
series. It might have been the very last one, where I think the character's name is Andy, and he's like, "I wish somebody had told you that the best days of your life were happening, the good old days were happening as you were living them."
Exactly.
And not to say that the good old days are not today, because this is a pretty good day for me.
Right.
This is, I love, we'll get into it later like we spoke about. I love podcasting. I love music. I love both you dudes. So I love spending time doing things exactly like this.
Right.
But the good old days, sometimes I think, are when we were broke and we were playing shows for free or paying to get to shows. Or, we have experience of playing to packed houses.
Right.
I mean, like hundreds of people, and being quote unquote local rock stars, where people knew who we were. And this was before careers and families and responsibilities. But in those days, we'd play a show to 500 people and we'd leave just as broke as we got there, if
Right.
not more so. Because once you can start drinking, you start drinking at the shows, and you leave more money there at the bar or the club than you made.
Right.
So, looking back, you would think that was a 1 star day because you were broke and you were struggling and you had to go to work the next day. But looking back, fondly thinking, I hung out with these people and we made memories we'll never forget.
and you all scrapped your money together, bought Taco Bell after the show.
Exactly, yeah. And bought Taco Bell and I still have flyers and a ton of memories.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy how you're absolutely right, how those 1 star days are sometimes, they turn out to be 5 stars depending on the circumstances. But
Right.
yeah, I just, back to it, I love that name. I think it's brilliant. I think
Thank
it's
you, bro.
super marketable. I think it's super relatable. I think you're onto something, kid. I really do.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, man.
So I
Appreciate
wanted to ask you a few questions.
that. Talk to me.
The podcasting thing. What do you listen to?
So I think not so much of a podcast, but whenever I bought my first pickup truck, brand new off the showroom floor, was at Mission Chevrolet. Right, I bought a 2008 Silverado, And I think at that point in time, you were getting XM free for 2 years, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Now they only give you like 3 months.
right.
Back then it was 2 years, bro. And so one of our best friends growing up, David Ortega, he got me into Opie and Anthony.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was
Yeah,
never
yeah.
a Stern guy.
Yeah.
Opie and Anthony, once David introduced me to them, we'd take road trips wherever we'd go, or he would do hotshot routes.
Mm-hmm.
Tagged with him a couple times, tagged along with him. And I really got into that show. So then through them, I met a bunch of comedians like Bill Burr,
Right.
Jim Norton, for sure, that's on the show also, or that was on the show, Patrice O'Neill. And a bunch of these guys ended up going on to do their podcast. And
Right.
I'm not a comedian, whatever. But this is the stuff that I listened to ever since I started working the railroad, right? So it's going on 10 years at the end of this year. Traveling everywhere, traveling to Kansas City, traveling to, where else? Fort Worth, traveling all over New Mexico. A bunch of the times I was driving Amarillo, I spent a bunch of time in Amarillo. And that's what kept me awake.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to everything from Joe Rogan, of course. I love Joe Rogan. And by no means am I trying to be any of these shows. It's just, is it inspiration? For sure it is. But I just thought, whether or not I'm a good talker or not, I've got something to say,
Sure.
and the curiosity to learn from you guys and from whoever ends up coming on here too, I think it'd be cool because if we talk to people in El Paso, for instance, with bands, comedians that I've got other people lined up already, just to get the exposure for them too, something different in El Paso that we may or may not know that was there. But that's why I'm trying to do it. It's fun.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, I've always believed everybody has and it's true. Everybody has a story,
Right.
whether it be an easy life, a hard life, easy road, hard road, whatever it may be. Everybody has a story, and we could all learn from everybody's story at some point. I'm a big podcast fan as well. That's why I always like when I hear people, I'm a podcaster, and well, what do you listen to? Because there's so much cool stuff out there.
Are You Garbage? Have you heard that one yet?
No.
That one's great. So
no,
it's,
I focus a lot of stuff. I listen to Rogan. With Rogan, I have to be real careful because he's very. I kind of pick and choose what I like and don't like.
right.
Because some of it's political, some of it's not, some of it's whatever. A lot of it's all very interesting. It's all very informative. I've always been a huge fan of Adam Carolla.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of music podcasts. There's a dude who's named Dean Del Rey who.
Yeah. Comedian also.
Yeah, comedian. Yeah. He has a great podcast. There's a podcast from a dude from Portland. His name is it's the Pure Pleasure Podcast. It's all musicians, Deftones. I mean, he has some really cool guests. So not to take the topic off of you, but to me, podcasting is super. I've always loved it. I mean, the fact that you asked us to come out here, I was giddy.
Oh yeah, bro.
I'm like, man, I'd love to. I mean, I think. I know we probably shouldn't, but we could probably talk for 4 or 5 hours.
And you guys are welcome to come back anytime, bro, because this is only going to get better. Like right now, I think we're just warming up, and I'm just warming up and getting the feel for it, and this is one of those things where before I hit the button on the website to purchase the equipment that I got, I was like, before I do this, I got to go all in.
Yeah.
I got to tell myself this isn't going to be an impulse buy. This is something that once I hit buy or ship it to me, I'm gonna have to do everything I can to keep it going.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think I will.
There's a ton of interesting people in this city. I mean, not even just from our main the thing that all the three of us have in common the most is music, obviously.
Right.
But I'm sure you can find an awesome chef, an awesome fabricator, a comedian, a teacher, a doctor, an attorney, just somebody who anybody has a story.
Yeah, and I want to be open to suggestions too. Like it doesn't have to be necessarily somebody that I know, because
Yeah.
one of the things I was talking to with my older brother about too was just the way, like the buddies that I grew up with, that my younger brother Rudy hangs out with too, and my brother Ruben knows them too. If I could get them in here and talk the way we talk, I mean, a lot of it's going to be.
There'll be a lot of editing.
No, not even. I'll fucking put it out there, but it's going to be controversial. It'll be controversial for sure. But it's just guys shooting shit, and you can't fucking be that way anymore. Is the thing.
That's a whole podcast for a whole different day on that, and that's how we are, because I have, for personally in my group, in my phone, I have different groups. I have the Yolotli guys,
Right.
The band, and then we have an Instagram thread, and then I have I'm real close with my brother-in-law Jose, and we have a group of guys we go to the gym with,
Right.
and we have our own thread there. and it's stupidity and it's ridiculous, stuff, but it makes us laugh. And it
Yeah.
brings out a laugh in the middle of a Wednesday when you're the most stressed and one of your buddies sends you the most ridiculous thing and it takes you out of that moment for 30 seconds just to laugh. It's like, all right, I'm thankful for this because it's keeping you sane.
Yeah, so I've got one at work with my coworkers that I was thrown into, and it's expected for me to push the envelope, so I do
You
it.
have to.
So
And it's rarely PC. And that's another part of the world that we grew up in. I think that PC wasn't really a term yet.
It wasn't.
It was. One thing that I've tried really hard throughout my entire life, probably more as an adult, and I try and tell my family this is like, I try not to get offended. If somebody doesn't like me and they say if you tell Anthony that you don't like this about me, I'm not going to get offended because you're obviously entitled to your own opinion about me. I might have rubbed you the wrong way the first time we met, or I might have done something really stupid to you,
Right.
where you're entitled to feel that way. And the fact that everybody's so easily offended is scary.
it's terrible, bro.
It's not everybody, recently we released a song and we've had some people review it. Not everybody loves it. And it's really easy to get offended because you love your own music. You're going to come across somebody who doesn't like One Star Day if you haven't
'em.
already. Yeah, exactly. But is it worth rethinking the way you wrote your song?
Hell no.
You're going to do it anyway.
I think some of the feedback that I get a lot is that it sounds very 90s,
Yeah.
but then again, that's what I grew up with. Like I don't feel it. To me, it doesn't sound 90s at all. It's what I grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it's there, and I've got influences that I pull from, and I'm not trying to sound like any of my favorite bands, but I think
It's natural.
it's natural. Whenever I hear something that I write, I do hear something initially so like 1985, whenever in this room, we got Ryan's drum set behind Drew. Whenever we started playing that song in this room, in its raw form, it had a real Smashing Pumpkins vibe, to me at least, And once we put it out there, and Adam worked, not Adam, Anthony worked his magic on it, and then Adam's vocals came into play. It sounds completely different than what we first had in its raw form, It sounds amazing to me. To me, it doesn't sound 90s, but that's some of the feedback that I got,
I can hear it. I mean, I can hear the influence there, but it's also modern
Right.
and it's yours.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dude. The '90s were a great decade for
Oh,
music.
yeah, bro.
So even if it does sound like the '90s, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though too, because every once in a while something comes out, and for instance, I forget what the band is called, but they sound a lot like they have very heavy Led Zeppelin influence.
Oh,
wow.
Greta Van Fleet.
Greta Van Fleet.
yeah.
So people love to say, "Oh, this sounds like that," and then something else comes out, and I don't know if it's just the timing or what, but everybody's like all about it. So it's funny, people just pick and choose, like, "Oh,
Right.
that sounds '90s," like that. Music is way past that, but then something comes out, and it's like a throwback, and they jump on it. So it's funny. People, I don't know if there's seasons of what people accept or not, but I can definitely hear the influence in your playing, but obviously it's done in modern times. It's done in modern music engineering and everything. So there's definitely the feel to it, but more so I think it's the style of your songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily the '90s sound. I think that's the way that you learn how to write songs. Like, dude, I'm gonna pick up a guitar and I'm gonna jam with Ryan, and we're gonna jam this shit out, and
Right,
that's
right.
gonna be a song.
It's
And that's not necessarily a bad method. I mean, that's a very organic way of writing a song.
For
so,
sure.
So maybe that's why they get that '90s feel. So I don't know.
It's the same thing as if you were just a prog metal fan.
Right.
You love Rush and
Rush.
Dream Theater. What are you gonna write?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and especially having Ryan listening, because Ryan's been listening to what you've been listening to. He's
Yep.
had no damn choice since he was a
Yep.
baby. He rides in the car with you. He listens to what you're playing. Maybe now he can say, "Hey, Pop, can I You know,
In,
can I
in,
play
in,
something?
in all fairness, he got into Ice Cube on his own.
See there. Well, that's fair, and that's respectable. And that's cool. But it is what you're gonna write what you listen to the most
You write what you know.
without and probably on accident,
Yep.
not on purpose. I know our first bands mimicked whatever we were writing at the time. Even into high school and teens, we would write a song that sounded like Seven Dust one day because it's like, oh shit, Animosity is a great record, and then there's a band that Finch called Finch that came out, and then the next week we'd write a pop metal song that was like 3 minutes long and catchy and just so you're a product of you write whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then we were fortunate. I mean, I guess every generation before us says it too, but we were fortunate to be a product of our generation because we had a bunch of good influences for sure.
And leading up to that too, because the '80s brought. I mean, we're talking about '90s now, which brought. There was a lot of good metal in the '90s.
Yeah.
But the '80s, you had the best Metallica records were in the '80s and early '90s. Megadeth and all that, and then you get into the Seattle grunge sound, which, those drummers were not playing double kick.
Right.
You have Sean Kinney from Alice in Chains, and you have Matt Cameron and Soundgarden, and you have Dave Grohl, who
Jimmy Chamberlain with his pumpkins.
to this day, Dave Grohl he's Dave freaking Grohl. You know what I mean? He and all those guys were playing single kick pedals on the kick drum, and they're making it sound huge.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to Spoon Man, that breakdown where Matt Cameron's playing that part where the spoon solo is, it's the simplest drum beat in the world, but it's so powerful.
Yeah.
It's just like, damn, like how did you do that? And I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you do the band Candlebox.
Yeah, I remember Candlebox.
Their drummer to me was a huge...
They used to come over to Wet n Wild a lot, no?
And Speaking Rock. The
Speaking Rock.
last time I saw them was Speaking Rock. Unfortunately, it wasn't with the original drummer, but they had Jack Irons.
Right.
who
Oh, yeah,
was-
yeah. Peppers.
And Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
And he's playing in Candlebox now, but they had a drummer named Scott Mercado. I don't know if you remember that Candlebox song called You.
Yeah.
So in the breakdown, there's a part where he's playing one beat with his snare hand and kick drum, and he's playing a whole different pattern on the ride cymbal. And when I heard that, I must have been 10 years old. And I was like,
Two different things with each hand.
how is that human? Like his brain was playing almost two different time measures. And Danny Carey from Tool does that a lot.
Right.
I mean, I know there's a song. I'm not a huge Tool fan. I respect them because they're amazing musicians. I've never been able to get into them. But I know there's a song that somebody showed me way back in the day where Danny Carey's playing like a different time signature on each limb.
Right.
Come on, man. Like, it's insane.
I was more into A Perfect Circle, but I respect Tool for sure.
Yeah, same thing. I'm more of I'm more of a catchy guy.
Yeah,
I like a song that I can remember.
for sure.
What about what's a guilty pleasure? What's Renee's guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure. So I can't remember what Drew phrased earlier about how there could be some stuff that you'll still catch yourself bobbing your head to. I've never bobbed my head to this. This is before I get to my guilty pleasure. Before I get to that, I've been taking a shit on Nickelback before it was cool, and that's never gonna change. That'll never change. I've almost jumped out of cars. You could ask my buddy. Was it Charles or Kyle or both of them at work? Yeah, man.
That's my Disturbed.
Oh, I don't like Disturbed, bro.
Oh my god, I don't.
Disturbed and
Five Finger Death Punch, Disturbed to me are just like they're your version of Nickelback.
Puddle of Mud. How they were always brought into town too. Like, nah, man. Hell no. Guilty pleasure. If I go into my phone, you're gonna find. I wouldn't consider Post Malone a guilty pleasure because I like him. I think he's legit.
He's a legit musician.
But like something that might be embarrassing. Not so much embarrassing. I love The Cure. I remember back in the MySpace days where you'd open up your page and you could have a song on there. And I remember my brother Rudy teased me one time, like, what the fuck is up with that song on your fucking MySpace, bro? And it's The Cure, man. I love them. So not them. I'm trying to think. Man. Guilty pleasure. I'll get back to that. What was yours? We never heard yours. Let me think a little.
You know what? I was telling Adam this the other day. It's not a guilty pleasure because it's actually really, really good music. I
Right.
listen to a lot of Christian music,
Okay.
a ton. Like, and there's a national radio station called K Love.
Right.
It's all Christian music. That's what I listen to in the car, man.
Right.
Because first of all, the message is like, hey, dude, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Life might be tough today. It might be tough tomorrow. Um, I'm not a huge holy roller. I, but that music to me is like
Uplifting.
it's amazing. There's some amazing musicians. There's some amazing voices. There's this chick, this chick. I hate calling them chicks. There's this girl from Australia named Taya Smith, and she has this amazing, just a voice on her, man. And that's I would say guilty pleasure because I guess I go back in the day to where I was that metalhead coming up
Right.
and believing in God was not cool. And you were either like I remember going with my buddy Doug, who I played in bands with for years, and we would go to churches and cruises to watch these Christian bands. That's when ska was huge, like Five Iron Frenzy,
Right.
and we would go to talk to girls. We didn't go because of the music. We were stupid, because back then you were in a metal band or whatever. It wasn't cool to believe in God. It wasn't cool
Right.
to talk about God. It wasn't cool to be a Christian or whatever. And I think that, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever that is, kind of stuck with me through life. Where I've had a hard time talking, admitting, like, yeah, I listen to a lot of Christian music.
Right.
I really do.
There's nothing
I
wrong with
really
it.
do. I really do.
So, real quick, were you guys in confirmation growing up by chance?
Mm-hmm.
So they took us to a retreat one time at Isleta High School, and they had a Christian band playing. I can't remember their name. I remember I bought the CD. It's probably somewhere in my garage. I can't remember the name of the band though, but the band goes up on stage and they rocked it out for sure. And there was an awkward moment where the vocalist goes on stage, and at the time we're kids, so of course we're virgins too. But the guy goes up on stage and he goes into this whole speech about how I'm so and so many years old, and I'm still a virgin and I'm proud of it. And it just stayed quiet. But anyway, but they were a good band. I bought the CD, so obviously they were a good band.
I mean, think of like POD. They were a Christian band.
Yeah, and they were great.
And they still are great to
And
this
they just
day.
came up with a new song
Yeah,
recently,
they're still one of my favorite bands. And,
2 weeks ago, I think.
And there's a real heavy band called Demon Hunter. They're a Christian band, and they're
Aggressive.
a good band. They've always been. So I've always struggled, and it's hard. It's not hard for me to talk about it now or admit
Right.
it because there's no shame. There's no. But for many years, there's bands like Disciple and Pillar and Red. That band Red is a Christian
Yeah.
band. Just and I think they don't get their fair shake because once you put the Christian moniker on them, they're not so easy to market.
I think so was Sixpence None the Richer.
Yeah,
I think they were a
believe
Christian
so
band.
too. And I've been to Christian band concerts. There's a tour that used to happen. It hasn't happened in a while called the Rock and Worship Roadshow, and they'd have like 10 bands on each night. Each band would play like it was backline where everybody played the same drum set, and each band would play like 4 songs. You'd watch 10 bands in one night, 4
Right.
songs each, and it was just a show, man. It was like, man, these guys can play. It's not marketable because the world we live in doesn't want Christian artists to be at the top of it. Like, look at Katy Perry.
Right.
Katy Perry was a Christian artist. Her name was Catherine Hudson, and
Yeah.
she sang on a POD, record.
yeah.
And then once she changed genres and changed her image and all that, she became huge.
Yeah.
Same voice, same talent, different marketing scheme.
Yeah.
And I respect it. It's a business. It's entertainment, as Adam says.
So the reason I started playing guitar was, I don't know if I was in confirmation yet, or I think I might have been, but we would go to church pretty often anyway before that with my parents, almost every Sunday. I might have been in confirmation, I might have not, but I remember they're still friends of mine too to the day, but my friend Beto and his wife Ceci, they were talking at the end of the Mass, and they were talking about,
I think that was my chair.
I think they were talking about starting a youth choir for the church, and they had mentioned if you don't know how to play an instrument, they'd teach you. They're just trying to form the youth choir, and that was like, this is my in. This is where I started learning how to play guitar.
Yeah.
So I was in that church choir for a long time.
Yeah.
At San Felipe, it's Catholic church down here.
And I've seen, different kinds of churches, some really good musicians.
Yeah.
really good musicians and singers, and it's it's music.
You know what? If you listen to a Yolotli song, and if you really dig into the lyrics that I write, being perfectly honest, some of them could be taken as Christian. Um, I myself I'm Catholic, so the concepts of sin and stuff like that is always around in my head, and a lot of things I write about is the daily internal battle of,
Hmm.
am I going to be a shit person today, or am I going to try and walk a righteous
Right.
line? And a lot of the lyrics that I write are about that. Obviously,
As a struggle,
um,
or
yeah. Obviously, I write like I said earlier. I write sort of open ended because I like the idea of people taking something and putting their own concept on it. But there are some things that could pass, I guess you would say, as Christian music.
right.
Like say if we came out and labeled it, and I would never do that because everybody has their different beliefs, and it would be a total sham if we came out and said we were a Christian band. But me personally, I think a lot of my spiritual beliefs and just the stuff that goes on in my head could very well be conceived as Christian music.
There's we have a song called IWTD.
Yeah.
It's an acronym. Um, in the bridge of that song, he's screaming his head off. I mean, Adam has an awesome scream.
And you would have no clue that it's
He's
the undertones of it.
He's screaming, "Heavenly Father, where are you?"
Right.
That's a question we have all asked at one point in our life. When you're at a lull in your life,
Turmoil.
It's
everyone's asked that.
it's funny because we're working on some new material. We're actually doing some unplugged stuff,
Hmm. I heard a
and
sample of some of it.
that's one of the songs we're working on.
What'd you think?
It sounds fucking great.
That's one of the songs we're working on. I showed the finished vocal trackings to my wife, and the bridge obviously there's no purpose to me screaming on an acoustic track, so we found a way to actually work that as a singing part. But my wife listened to it and she's like, "Are you saying Heavenly Father?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I had no idea you ever said that." She's like, "Because when you scream, I tune out."
Yeah.
She's like, "Your screaming parts, I don't fuck with that." So she's like, "I had no idea you use those lyrics." I'm like, "Yeah," and that's why I say, like, if you read a lot of the stuff that I write, it could be taken that way. I mean, it could also be taken. I mean, everybody, whether you believe in whatever you believe in, you have to at least every once in a while during the day say, "Oh God," like if you're frustrated, say, "Oh God," or "Come on," you know, whatever you believe in. So
So I don't mean I don't mean to toot the 1 star day horn again, but remember the reviews that we got? They were saying that the messages on both songs seemed uplifting also.
so yeah, I mean, I think maybe that it's my spirituality that, and I don't try to. I would never, like I said, I would never market the band as a Christian thing. Um, I don't exactly agree with, like you said, the guy came out preaching. Because I remember I saw one time I used to watch a lot of live stuff, and I used to see old POD stuff too.
Yeah.
And he would actually do like preaching stuff, which is cool, I guess, in the venues that they used to tour, where they did Calvary churches and everything. I guess that would be the proper place for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't see myself doing that.
That-
I mean, maybe if I delved into it and was
I
there
think-
for that purpose, I could do it.
I think that doing that can be, it can be as dangerous as going on stage and screaming your political beliefs.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the best you can hope for is not so much push that narrative, but you just hope that it fucking relates to somebody that's listening to the song.
That's what I
What-
like. Yeah, the idea I like is just pushing whatever you put out there and letting people take it for what they need it to be.
And not so much with the religious tone of it, but with everything as far as so one of the things that I appreciate about you guys too, and with your music and our music, is that you're singing our truth, or your truth with Yolotli. It's not fake. You're not coming up with a fucking bullshit story like I'm not gonna say any names. there's people that sing about bullshit they haven't lived.
Yeah.
Well, in one of those bands I read about recently, I've never liked this band, not just because whatever, like Slayer.
Right.
Tom Araya has come out and said that all the devil worshipping was a bunch of bullshit.
It was just a gimmick.
It was a gimmick. He's a hardcore Catholic, and they used that gimmick to
Elevate themselves.
get a fan base.
Like we said,
it worked.
It's entertainment, right? It's a shock value.
It
but,
worked,
yeah.
and I that's not the reason I've never liked Slayer. I've just never liked their music.
It's not my
It's not
type
my
of
cup
music.
of tea at all. If they're gonna come out of retirement and sell out arenas again, cool, great, go do it. If people are wanting to buy tickets and be there, what is that? No one's forcing me to buy a ticket, so I'm not gonna go. But and the thing is that they've admitted that publicly, and nobody cares.
Actually, funny story. When they came here, when they put the tickets out, we bought tickets to go to Slayer.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it was like a Thursday night or Wednesday night or something. And the closer it got, me and him were like, do we really want to go see Slayer? We had tickets to go, and we're like, just put them up to resell, dude. Because they were never really anything that we dug into. I mean, it was cool. They were a big influence on the metal world and everything. And I think that's at that point, that's why we're like, hey, they're legends. Let's go
Right.
see them. But I think we started digging into their catalog and everything. We're like, this is really not for us. So.
I think it was more like, hey, this is their farewell tour. Let's go and say that we went.
Yeah.
And then we're like, hey, they're gonna do a reunion tour 5 years from now anyway. Which,
Like I think Raining Blood sounds cool, but that's all I know Slayer, to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
and
And
I know people who absolutely love them.
yeah, so do I. So I can't remember the backstory to this or how it happened, but it was Facebook drama with my buddy had posted something about Slayer on his Facebook a long time ago, and so it's my buddy and his cousin. So well they're both buddies of mine who happen to be cousins, and he'd posted something about Slayer and just being a homeboy, I started making fun of him for Slayer or whatever, and so I guess the one buddy's sister, the other buddy's cousin, a female,
Took it
attacked me,
seriously,
and they must have given her ammo because I can't remember what the fuck I said, but they gave her ammo and she called me a pussy and for being a Dave Matthews band fan. But it's, we talked about that before.
I would very much rather go see Dave Matthews than
I love
Slayer
Dave Matthews.
any day of the
That's
week.
the thing is that back when I was coming up as a quote unquote metal musician,
Right.
Dave Matthews was probably not something I would have admitted to liking.
I fucking always admitted it.
It's just the stupid square that I think we put ourselves in.
Yeah. That one box.
That one box, and it's like to this day, Carter Beauford, dude. He's one of the best drummers. That guy plays right-handed, left-handed, upside down while chewing gum the whole show, and he's just. I don't know. I'm sorry. I just have this crazy. I have a crazy passion for good drummers.
Right.
But yeah, it's it's just everybody's cup of tea is different. I don't like Slayer. I do love Christian music. Call me what you will. Now or back then, it doesn't matter.
Nothing wrong with that, man. It sounds good to you. It sounds good to you.
Yeah.
I did think about my guilty pleasure. I haven't heard them in a while, but I did listen to them religiously, and I bought, what is it? They probably got 2 or 3 albums. She and Him, Zoe Deschanel.
Okay. Yeah.
I love
Oh
Zoe.
yeah.
Yeah, I love her, bro. That's my celebrity crush. And whenever they come up with that first album, it had You Really Got a Hold on Me.
Mm-hmm.
I love that band.
The first time I heard her sing was in Elf,
Yeah, dude.
which is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yep.
But her voice is just like
Yes.
ageless. So yeah, absolutely, that's a good one.
Yes Man. Have you seen Yes Man?
Yes.
Where she's in that band. I forgot what it was called, but the performance they
With Jim
do-
Carrey.
Yeah, the performance her band does, where it's like on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. I was like, this is brilliant. Like, I don't even know if that's what her actual band music sounds like, but I'm like, man, this is the writing in it. I guess as musicians, you end up having a lot of respect for writing. Period.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether it be movies or shows or jokes or music, just the like Adam says, it's entertainment, but there's some really insane talent.
Yeah, but you can't just throw it out there. I don't think. I mean, you could throw garbage out there if you want to, but I think The only thing I'm picky with is with the music I listen to and the music that I want to put out. It's got to be honest music. Like,
You know, it's funny that the word garbage, it brought up a thought in my head, and that's
That was a pretty good band.
that's the word. Garbage was a good band. Had a crush on Shirley, definitely, when I was younger. But that word, my wife and I use a lot for shit we'll hear like on the radio, or like, this is garbage, dude. But I tell her, like, we're talking about writing and everything. I tell her, I'm like, one of these days, I'm just gonna purposely put out a turd, like
Right.
a horrible, put no effort into a song and just put it out there and see what it does. Because the stuff that I hear, I'm like, really, like this.
This is what hit.
This is what is hitting. So I've always been curious to like just try and write something really stupid and just put it out and see what kind of reaction it gets.
I fucking hate you. That song. Garbage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it. There's too much of it, but it sells.
Fucking A.
It sells, man. So is your I want to say your stage name professionally in the Audio Pepper is that based on the Chili Peppers, the pepper?
Yes. Yes. So
I've always wanted to ask you this.
my email, going back to the Hotmail days, I don't have that one anymore. But one of my first emails was
That was Hotmail with an I, right? Not an E, because just making
Yeah.
sure what kind of sites you were on back in the day, Rene.
so back in the day, my email was Superman plays guitar, because I'm a big Batman Superman fan, DC fan. So it was Superman plays guitar, but that was too long for everything that I was using, right? And so whenever I decided to change my email, I remember when news first broke that Chris Cornell got together with Rage Against the Machine members
Yeah,
and formed Audioslave. So the only way I was able to find the song back in those days was either Napster or LimeWire. They had a song that they never released it as a studio recording, but there was a song called Monster, I think. But I love the name Audioslave. I was like, I'm gonna combine the two, because for sure, I'm for sure a lifelong Rage Against the Machine fan too, and for sure a lifelong Chili Peppers fan. So I just combined the two.
That's cool.
Combined the two, and it got to the point where one of my best friends growing up, Levi, said, call everything Audio Pepper. Everything that you do, call it Audio Pepper. It just has a certain ring to it. So I've got the Audio Pepper art.
Yeah.
I still got to spell it out sometimes. I'm always saying AUDIO and then pepper like the spice whenever people ask me for my email. But yeah, it's based on the Chili Peppers and based on Audioslave.
Nice.
I love Tom Morello. I love, of course, Chris Cornell was in that band, and I love the Chili Peppers. It just stuck.
Like a Stone is one of the best songs ever.
Dude, like a stone, I'm the highway.
I get
gasoline getaway car.
I get a lot of crap, and some of it has been from Adam's wife, from Maida, because we talk like, "Hey, what's your favorite?" She asked me one time, "What's your favorite Peppers song?" And they're fans. I'm a Peppers fan. I'm not huge. I love Chad Smith.
Right.
I'm not a Frusciante fan, so don't kick me out
Oh,
of
I
your
love
house.
Frusciante, bro.
I even when he joined the last time, I'm like, man, that's messed up for Josh. They just kicked him out because John wants to come back again. I'm like, what a dick.
And Josh had some great music too.
Yeah, and I'm like, what a dick. This guy just plays around, and I can be somewhat opinionated, but my favorite Pepper song is Snow.
Yeah,
And
it's a great song.
and it's a great song. And my sister-in-law, Adam's wife, she's like, really, dude? Out of their whole catalog, Snow. I'm like, that guitar intro it's magic. It's beautiful.
Right.
And then just the bass line. I've always thought I don't know what any of his songs are about, because he's
California.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
goes to that AI, the
Anthony
AI
Kiedis.
remix of I think it's Snow. It is Snow, right? Yeah.
and it's like I read his book. I read Scar Tissue was
Right.
freaking amazing.
It's under my coffee table.
Yeah, I love autobiographies of any musician pretty much, and I read that, and I'm not a huge fan, of course, but like I remember one time we were having that conversation, and she's like, "Really, dude, Snow?" I'm like, "It's the perfect song from start to finish."
So I've got too many favorites, but I know you'd ask the casual fan, and they're gonna say Under the Bridge or whatever the fuck.
That was the first Chili Pepper song I ever heard, was Under the Bridge, because I saw the
Yeah.
video on MTV. Yeah,
Great song.
but I like the Navarro stuff too.
Yes, dude,
I
and,
like
and
Soul
that
to
album.
Squeeze, like Soul to Squeeze is amazing.
So I was gonna say that. So if I were to have a top song, it's gonna be Soul to Squeeze. I just love that song. I love the way the guitar sounds, the way it just slides everywhere, and then the simple but badass bass line that Flea's got on that song. The way the cymbals crash on it, it's just it makes it fucking epic as fuck. But Wet Sand, bro. If you've heard Wet Sand, that's one of my favorites for sure. I like Dirt. I like them all. I can't really just pick one. But so I do remember though, the first time I heard Scar Tissue, because you grew up like in the Peppers from the '90s and whatever. Dave Navarro leaves, they come back with John, and I remember hearing Scar Tissue for the first time. I was driving home from wherever I was working at that time, and I heard it for the first time on Cali Q, and I'm like, "What's this, man?" You know, I didn't like it at first. For the first couple of listens, I was like, "I don't get it. I'm where's the funky energy that you expect from them? Where's the slap? Where's this and that?" But you do get to that point where you realize, you know what, a band's gonna mature. You don't want to hear the same shit all the time.
Right.
You gotta let them mature. You gotta let them evolve, and I'm glad I did because, by the way, it's one of the best songs ever.
Yep.
I remember with that song. I remember with all the flying I do for work right now with the railroad. I was flying almost every Tuesday at one point, flying to and from work every Tuesday. And I remember I was feeling sick one time, and on my flight home, I don't know if it was the NyQuil or whatever Dayquil medicine I took, whatever. I remember having my ear pods on and hearing something in that song that I don't think I've ever heard before. And I've tried to find it again, and I don't know if it was me being sick that I heard something I just never heard before, but it was just that song still, it's great to me. I love it.
That was a good record. I mean, his comeback after Navarro was really good.
Top to bottom, that album's great, easily, and great
Well,
album.
we could dissect Super Unknown,
My Wave.
anything, you know.
That's so my favorite Soundgarden song is My Wave on that album.
Yeah.
That's my song where Take Me As I Am or Get the Fuck Out of My Way.
You know, I recorded a tribute song to Cornell.
With
Did I show you with Tragic Landing?
I have it on my phone because I got the album. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't. We did end up. They did ultimately end up releasing the Tragic Landing stuff to Spotify, I think. But I wanted to push that song way harder because I thought it was. I mean, I did the kind of stuff that I do with, like I did with 1985, where I do like Easter eggs and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I even sung a melody of his, and I used like pieces of his lyrics to come up with the whole song. As a matter of fact, I actually, when we were in the recording session, Paul Ward was he's the mastermind behind that music, and I told him like, this part needs something, dude. And I literally told him, go get me spoons out of your freaking silverware drawer. Because I'm like, if we're going to do this, we're going to go all the way. I'm going to pay tribute all the way. So there's literally a part in that song where I'm doing a little rhythm with spoons. And he's like, holy shit, dude. Like,
hell yeah.
Like, where did you get the idea to do that? I'm like, I mean, come on, dude. It's a tribute to Cornell and Soundgarden. And it sounded pretty cool. So, but yeah, that was a cool song.
Yeah, so it took me a while to catch that song because I do a bunch of my friends, including Adam and you guys, with the Yolotli, but even before that, and with a bunch of other people I know, I'll buy their music if I know them, you know. And with that song with Tragic Landing, I know I bought the album, and I must have been driving somewhere too, and I caught that. I started catching the references. And I know what song you're talking about that you sing the melody to in it. And I guarantee if I listen to the song, I can sing alongside it. But because I remember that song.
So that was a cool. That was a fun one to do.
Yep. Yeah, I remember with Tragic Landing, I was working in Montana when you were emailing me that stuff to see what I thought.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I appreciate about you, that you'd always, for whatever reason, you always valued my opinion, and you'd send me the stuff. Hey man, check this out. I'm gonna send you something. Let me know what you think.
Well, like Andrew says, I always like to know what other musicians think.
Right.
You know, and that's like one of the things that we bonded over was always music and
I wasn't blowing hot air up your ass.
Yeah,
I think Scuba Steve is like a legit fucking song, bro.
I love that. I love that song. That was a fun band too. That band was short lived, thanks to COVID. So, but yeah, that was one of my. I think it's still one of the favorite songs I've ever recorded. Which anybody out there listening, the band was Tasting Color. The song is called Scuba Steve. I think it's still up on YouTube.
It's on YouTube still.
So that was I had to give the credit to the band because when I joined that band, they already had a mess of music written, but they did let me completely write the vocals to that song. So I loved that song, dude.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Great song.
So
you were mentioning so with 1985, I do want to chime in with the music that you worked on with Ryan and I with One Star Day. I remember with Glow, I kind of give you the same idea minus the Back to the Future as 1985.
Yeah.
Kind of give you the same idea as to what I was going through, and then you took it a whole different route. And I remember when Tony, I think it was a group text, hey man, I'm gonna send you the song, I'm gonna send you the lyrics that Adam came up with, and not what I was expecting, but man, I was crying. That was a great, not what I expected, but it was more than what. I don't know how to put it into words, bro, but it caught me by surprise and I loved it, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember the concept you originally gave me for that song, but I knew in my head, I knew I wanted to make it, I wanted to include the fact that just a child being so loving of music and wanting to do it is such an awesome thing. I wanted to write about his purity, but I also wanted to write about your guys' relationship, and
Right.
music being the center of that and everything. So that's why that song took the shape that it did. And I was nervous what you would think about it because I did kind of go in a different direction, but yeah, but I was glad that you were happy with it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember I was with my buddy Juan that I was living with. Fortunate that he rented me a room at his house when I was forced to work over by the Clovis area in New Mexico, and I couldn't wait to show it to him too because he's real cool too. One of my buddies over at work. I was like, dude, check this out. This guy came up with the lyrics to my song, and I was excited, bro. I was excited to show it off.
And it was actually a hard project for me to take on because I was already deep into the Yolotli stuff, and my writing approach, I guess, at that point I was sort of locked into the idea of heavy aggressive music like the screaming stuff and those kind of lyrics and everything. So it was a challenge to write to that style. And I love this. The you and I always went back and forth about writing music together. So
Right, and it finally happened.
when I got the piece of music, I was so happy, and I had always told my wife, Maya, I'm like, this guy's like, you would send me like little samples of stuff, even just acoustic stuff. I'm like, this is a freaking $1 million song right here. Like this guy's writing is so good. So I was so stoked when you sent me that piece of music. But it was a challenge for me because I wanted to make it really good, but I was in that mindset of writing for that band. Like I'm doing heavy stuff, I'm doing aggressive stuff. So it was a challenge, but I'm really happy how that song came out, and as well as 1985 too.
Yeah, bro, and real quick, so I do want to mention that whenever we talked about recording with Tony, getting my music recorded, and you did mention asking if Drew could play drums on it, and initially I was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, man. But the second we went into the studio, and of course Ryan tags along with me everywhere we go, um, of course he walks in there thinking, hey man, I'm gonna play this song, right? Like, yeah, man, you are. But by then he had already started taking classes and getting as good as he is now, and I remember I was kind of scared of letting Adam know, like, because I thought you were gonna bail. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to tell Adam, hey, man, this is kind of gonna be Ryan wanting to play with us too.
Yeah.
Are you down with it? And you're like, hell yeah, man, I'm fucking down.
Oh, dude, I absolutely loved the idea. Like I say, just the idea that he loves music so much, and just a young kid giving his attention to anything that much, aside from a lot of the BS that kids pay attention to nowadays. I thought it was so cool, man. I thought awesome. And if I can be of any worth to anybody, especially a little kid, like joining him on his musical journey, I was like, dude, I am so down for this.
Yeah, this will be his launch pad to whatever he does with it later,
Yeah.
And I selfishly always say like selfish in a good way. I always say whenever I talk to people about the band, I'm like, this is how I'm gonna live forever.
Yeah.
Ryan's always gonna have our music together, and you're
Absolutely.
gonna be a part of it now
Yeah.
too, and he's always gonna have to. He's always gonna have this to
To look back
once
on.
I'm long gone, he's gonna look back on
Yeah.
this, show it to his kids, show it to his grandkids, hopefully, and continue the tradition. And going back to Drew though, this is where I propose we'll make music someday too, bro.
I was super offended, man. I'm still angry at you for that. No, you know, the whole, at the time he was 8. The
Yeah.
whole 8-year-old.
Well, he was actually 7.
Well, when you guys released Glow,
Yeah, he was it when we
6.
released it, but
So the it was obviously a brilliant marketing campaign. The 8-year-old drummer, and then seeing him play in the video. But when Adam told me, he was like, "Hey, Rene wants to jam," I'm like, "All right, cool." You know, at that time, I don't think I was.
too familiar with me, or
No. I don't think I was of 100% mentally or even emotionally ready to play music.
right,
Because I had taken a break for a lot of years of my life. Luckily, I was able to get into Yolotli and kind of not skip a beat.
right.
So when Adam obviously told me, hey, we're gonna do this different, and he's gonna have his kid play. What could I also, aside from that's fucking amazing? What else could I possibly say? Because it's the same thing. A kid, especially being the drummer, dude. I mean, come on. I'm a fan of every drummer out there. You know, that's one thing when we play shows. I don't watch the band. I watch the drummer. And I've been lucky enough to play shows with there's a lot of really good drummers in El Paso, and it kind of makes me sad because they're amazing. I mean, there's guys who run circles around me, and it just makes me want to be better. So when I heard, and then I heard the track and the solid drumming, is like, dude, this is brilliant. Like, how could you not support this? He's organically doing it. It's in his blood, and to not support this would be the dumbest thing anybody could do.
Right.
Because it's gonna keep him out of a lot of trouble in life. It might get him into trouble as a musician.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's gonna keep him focused, and that's what a lot of kids need right now.
We had posted a test
Podcast.
clip
Yeah, I
podcast.
watched.
Me and him talking about a story that happened in Vegas when we saw the Peppers the last time. I'll make it quick, but we showed that drum solo on Glow to a guy that was playing in a band in front of the New York. They had their band playing and they were pretty good, and they took their intermission, and Ryan was like, "Hey, Dad, do you think they'll let me play a song with them?" I'm like, "I don't think so, but we can always ask. It'll be cool. We'll record it, possibly go viral. It'll help them out. It'll help us out." Was our thoughts, and that he was bold enough to try to do that.
Yeah.
I was impressed because he's a natural. I mean, again, he's taken classes and he's progressed because of it for sure. But that he wants to do it,
Yeah.
is something else.
Well, he could take all the classes in the world, but if his heart's not in it,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
not going to serve him very much. So obviously,
Exactly.
his heart's in it.
Ultimately, the dude said that due to insurance purposes, they can't let him on stage to play. And one of my brother's best friends, Matt Phillips, that went to the concert with us, he went up to the drummer too and swooped in like Batman. He's like, "Hey, man, it's gonna help you guys out. It's gonna help Ryan out.
He had his
Just do
marketing
it.
team with him.
He showed you the drum solo. He's great. He's not gonna bang on your drums like a caveman. Just let him do it." And nah, didn't happen. It would have been cool if it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense though. The whole insurance thing. I
Yeah.
mean, anything happens.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a bunch of BS, but
Yeah. And then with 1985, with the lyrics, if we can go into that song real quick, the lyrics in that song, I had told Adam, in tribute to the first raw versions of that song that me and Ryan were playing here in this room, how we said it sounded to us like the Smashing Pumpkins kind of. I came up with a year, 1985, similar to the 1979 song by the Pumpkins. We couldn't come up with a clever name for it at that point. I was like, what if we just name it after a year? And earlier I said I'm a nerd, obviously, and 1985, Back to the Future. Well, we'll just call it 1985 for now. We'll see where it goes from there.
Title.
That was a working title. And I gave Adam the idea initially that I think it'd be great. I mean, we've all got stuff in the past that we wish we could go back and revisit, possibly fix or leave alone just to learn our lesson, whatever, like in the movies. And it would have been great if we could tie in the Back to the Future stuff to it. I kind of thought it was going to be something that Adam would laugh at, but no, he ran with it, and I'm ultimately happy with that product there.
That's a great song.
I think what's cool is anybody can, if people listen to it, they can relate to it. And I've often joked, if you could go back into the past and fix something, why not a DeLorean?
I loved the marketing for the single that we did too. Like the little Instagram stories would have like the little DeLorean and stuff like that. So it was cool. But yeah, when you gave me the concept, I was like, dude, hell yeah, I'm all over it. Like I love that movie, and I love the concept of, like I tell you, that's what I write about a lot is just life experiences and walking a righteous path and everything, and posing that question to myself or to anyone, like, would you change? Would you go back and change anything, or would you leave it the same? Those are a big part of the lyrics of the song. So that
I'll pose that question to you guys, and I won't. You don't have to go into specifics. Same question: if you could go back in time, would you change anything?
my stomach. I would probably hit the gym more since a very early age, because I'm paying for living sort of like shit for a while now. I have stomach issues, so I'm paying for the way that I lived.
The garbage
That's-
life.
Yeah, the garbage life. That's probably something I would change. There's one big thing that I would go back and change, and that's a tattoo I have on my ankle that says "No regrets." I think that's one of the biggest regrets in life that I have. So I would change that. But there's laser removal. So
Yeah.
how about you, Rene?
Oh man, well the inspiration behind the song without the Back to the Future references to the song, it's about a past relationship.
But would you change it? Because at some point, that led you to where you are now.
For sure.
So I mean, if you had not had that relationship and things would have gone a different direction, you might not be where you are now. As hard as that may have been at that point in your life, or easy, either way.
I think I'd simply go back and not put my foot in my mouth, and I think that would have saved me a lot of grief. Simply,
Yeah.
Whether the same outcome would happen or not, it's just don't trip on your tongue and say stupid shit.
Hindsight 2020. So I think.
Oh, for sure.
Going back to talking about you guys raising kids and everything, and them, having their whole ideas and everything. I think I remember going back to where my head was when I was 14, 15 years old. I thought I knew everything about life, and oh, my heart is broken, or I'm in love with this chick or that chick, and you get to a certain age, and there was no way you had the mental reasoning or capacity that you
Fuck
have
no.
now, that we have now. So I think there's a difference between going back, but would you be able to take the wisdom that you have back with you? Or if you could go back to be that age again without the life experience you have now, would you do it?
You'd probably end up making the same decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's better to just say leave everything be. It happened for a reason, and just be on the outside of the window looking in.
Yeah.
And just be thankful. Most days is like be thankful we're just still alive.
Oh, for sure.
Because we all made decisions when we were young that could have very easily changed that.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, we can't always use the young excuse. We've made some dumb mistakes as adults.
Yeah, that's true.
I think,
even back then we were younger than we are now.
and I think for the most part, I think I've made a bunch of good decisions up to this point, but there's a couple real shit decisions that garbage decisions.
Yeah.
But I'm good with it. I don't dwell on it. The question does come up once in a while, what if? But it is what it is, Live and learn.
Yeah.
That's it.
Live and fucking learn.
The day you stop learning, I remember some of the advice my dad's given me over the years, and this is as far as a career goes.
Right.
Him and I went into the same industry, and he told me, hey, the day that you think you know everything about this, the day that you stop learning is the day you hand in your keys.
Yeah.
Because that's the day that you're gonna kill yourself or kill somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can translate into different parts of life, not just that particular industry or job.
Mm-hmm.
It can go into a lot of the day that you think you know everything is probably the day you start over
Yep.
somewhere, because even relationships. I mean, raising kids, relationships, friendships. I make mistakes with my brother, tell him stuff that I shouldn't have, whether it be out of anger or frustration towards somebody else.
Or looking out.
Yeah, sometimes you just talk shit. And the fact that you pretty much catch yourself pretty quickly versus letting it dwell for a week or two or a month or whatever. It's just experience.
Oh yeah. Life, bro.
Yep. I think it's cool to have situations like this where you can come come together with like-minded people and hash it out, talk it out. And my background is different from yours, and Adam and I are brothers. We grew up in the same household, but my background is different from his as well. We have different paths in life, and one thing that we come together with all the time, and we always have, is music.
Right.
You know, even when he asked me about possibly joining Yolotli, I had no intention to play drums in a band ever again. It's a lot of work. It's practice, and it's recording, and it's shows, and it's time away from home and time away from family.
Had you sold your equipment?
No. No, I still had all my equipment, and I ended up, of course, adding to it, buying new drum kits, and have to replace cymbals every 6-8 weeks because they break. Luckily, I have a very, very supportive household. Whenever we have all ages shows, my entire family's there.
Right.
Whenever you think they're not listening, man, but I hear my kids singing "Ghost."
Nice.
One of our songs, and I hear them singing "Awaken" because those are the videos that we've dropped that we listen to, and I listen to our own music. I'll be honest.
No, so do I, bro.
And I'll hear my kid going up or down the stairs at home, and she's singing the "Just Like Swayze" part of "Ghost," and I'm like, man, this kid's listening. They go to our shows and they don't act impressed.
Fucking Ryan's all about the song until we release it. Like, he's all about the song, and once we record it with Tony and we get the gist of it and everything, or Tony sends me a rough mix and then the song's released, he's like, "Why are you still listening to the song, Daddy?"
It's over.
It's over.
I fucking love it, bro.
It's out.
Yeah, once it's out there, he's like, "I'm done." On to the next song.
Next one, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's cool though. It's cool. It's nice to see. I don't know what kind of impact we're having.
Well, can you imagine what they go off and tell their classmates?
I can't imagine either.
Ask them, bro.
Either I'm the really cool dude who plays in a rock band, or I'm the loser who still plays in a
lame-o.
rock band. Yeah, either way, they're entitled to their opinion on it. I'm ancient to them. It doesn't matter. It's like
We're not cool anymore at a certain point.
not even close.
Even some of the bands that we end up playing in the same place as, we're like, I mean, you wouldn't even have to go that far. A couple of our bandmates we have 10 years on them.
Oh,
so
15.
and then some.
We're
Yeah,
being honest
so,
here, right? It's like
yeah.
Our Seabass, our bass player, is closer to age than my daughters than he is to me, and he acts like it sometimes because he'll say stuff. I'm like, hey, I heard my kid say this, and nothing wrong with it. That's his age. That's the life he's living.
He's pretty entertaining on stage.
Oh man, I think all of them are. I think I'm really lucky to be in a group of dudes who throw down on stage. But Seabass, he can dance, dude.
You guys have the technicality and the talent, and then you got the showmanship for it too.
And I appreciate, that's very cool of you to say. Thank you for that.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of people like myself. I think I wish I was a little bit more agile in the Glow video. I was stiff as fuck.
Yeah.
But whenever I see you guys on your videos and live, it's.
I think that has to do with not to compare, but we've been doing it longer than live anyways than you. I mean, you've been writing the entire time
For sure.
we have. But we've been on stages and done videos, and it just comes from, we're mimicking our idols.
Yep.
I want to look just like Morgan Rose from Seven does. I want to look like Joey Jordison did. I want to look like Jay Weinberg. All these guys who throw down on the drums. I want to be a show.
Right.
I don't want to just be the drummer back there in the dark playing a 4/4 on the floor kick. I want to be as entertaining. And it might be, that could sound cocky, and that's okay, I guess. But I want to look as badass as I can on
Right.
stage. I want to be a
Oh, yeah.
focal point, And I think that's the attitude the five of us and the band brings.
Right.
5, 6 now. I mean, by the time this comes out, I think
Yeah.
we would have already announced that we did get a second vocalist in our ranks, which is Bree. She's the one that did Flatline with us. But I would like to go back into you saying like the showmanship and everything that we have, and it's evolved to that, dude. I mean, you go back to our first show as a band, we didn't look anything like we do now.
Right.
I mean, we've been together over 2 years now, playing live and everything. I think that has a big part, having to do with the way that we perform now. Is just we kind of got a feel for each other, and we've
You
gotten
guys feed
really
off of each other,
we've
too.
gotten really comfortable.
Right.
Like we talk about it now, like we're not trying to be those, tough metal guys anymore. We're like, fuck it, we're gonna have fun with this. The way that I look at it is I'm an older dude. I'm a married man. I've got responsibilities. I am blessed, just like Andrew, to have a very supportive wife that lets me go out and play shows on freaking Wednesday night, Thursday night. But I look at every show as if it could be my last time on stage because I've had that last show before. There's been gaps in my life where I haven't played music for, 6, 7 years at a time live. So at one point for any other band that I've been in, you did have that last show.
Mm-hmm.
So
sometimes you didn't even know it was your
so
last.
yeah, so if you look at it like that, you're like, I'm gonna have fun, dude. Of course, the ultimate goal is to look badass and look tough and everything. But if you let loose and you look stupid, or if you smile or some shit too, I mean, I think people enjoy that just as much as when you're making a Slayer face or whatever. So I think people can relate more to when you're kind of being silly, and we've sort of found a balance of all of that. But like you saying that you were real stiff in the glow video, I think that's where it comes from us. We just been doing it. We've done it a lot, and it's just a level of comfort. I think there's a level of confidence that we all have in each other. That we all know that we're all blessed to have just a band of capable dudes.
I was real stiff, but you know what? I'm glad that Benny, Ontiveros.
Yeah.
I was real glad that Benny with Paloma Films, outside of being stiff, he did catch me in a moment where we're doing that bathroom scene where Ryan's banging on that plastic drum or that bucket with white paint on it, and he caught me taking the.
Yeah, when you clean his face.
I'm cleaning his face.
That was
like,
such a dad moment, dude. And when I saw it in the video, I'm like, oh, dude, that is so good. Like, that is such a genuine moment.
That's like, I'm not stiff there.
Yeah.
That's a badass scene right
Yeah.
there. Hell yeah,
I
man.
love the part where he takes the drumsticks away from you.
Hell yeah, man.
The attitude. That was awesome because I got a chance to have my pops in that video.
Yeah.
And
hell yeah,
I
man.
was invited to that shoot. I don't know if I was. I was probably out of town with the girls for something. It might have been a volleyball trip that I couldn't make it. But I was like, hey, dude, this is about dads and sons. Come out. And I was like, damn it, I can't. Because Fred and the boys were there.
Yeah.
And
I was supposed to have my siblings and my pops there, and neither of my brothers could make it out. And my dad was like, yeah, I'll still go. So I'm like, yeah, please do come out. So I was really happy to have him in the video too.
I tell your dad, hey man, your son Adam's a good dude. Ah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah.
It depends who you ask, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my dad.
You know what? You could have a podcast with him.
Oh yeah, man.
He would have you rolling for 2 hours.
That'd be cool, man.
Yeah.
I don't talk about his music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny though, because he's what do they play? Cumbias and
Yeah.
corridas and old rock and roll. So he's been to our shows.
Yeah.
And I've always thought when he's in the crowd watching me, thinking like, what the hell is this kid doing? Like, that's not how you play drums. It's just completely different styles. And he'll sit down on my drums sometimes, and my drum set's not by any means huge, but it's probably 4 pieces bigger than anything he's ever played on. And,
Right.
So he looks at like, what do you need this for? And he's always like, where's the cowbell? I'm like, well, you don't really use cowbell.
Count every. Andrew's gonna start counting every Yolotli song off with cowbell.
And one of the coolest moments of my life was, oh man, it was some years back when my grandmother and my abuelita was still alive, and we had a big party, and my dad's band played at the party for the grand. It was huge party,
Right.
Mexican.
It was her 95th. Yeah.
And
95th.
my dad asked me if I would fill in on a song with Los Chavos so he could dance that song with my mom, and I was
Oh, right on.
yeah, man, and I'm like, yeah, of course, and it was.
The call to arms right there.
It was the hardest song I've ever played in my life because I'm playing with seasoned musicians.
Yeah.
And I'm playing with these guys have known this song literally for 30 years. And my dad my dad did not send me a link on YouTube. He gave me the name of the song, like, learn this, and I had to find it and at their tempo and no click track. And so I went to practice with them because they would practice at my Nino's garage. And I think I went like 2 or 3 practices, and goddamn if I'd have a hard time learning that song. And my Nino would look at me, and he'd give me the slow down, the hand signal to slow down, like you're going too fast. So finally we nailed it. And that night at the party we played it, and it was, I mean, come on, dude. This is like where your roots came from, and you're able to play this song, one song.
Temple's tempo, bro. But I had a similar situation where a coworker of mine, he had a band that played that same style that same style of music too. And he was looking for a bassist, and I played guitar. He's like, "Hey man, come play bass with us. I mean, it's not gonna be that hard for you, whatever." And he had a bass that I could use, whatever. And I went to I think 2 or 3 rehearsals. Also, I never ended up playing with him, but it was the same thing again. I said earlier, tempo's tempo. You gotta stay in time, whatever. Yeah. But every time that I felt the music, where I feel myself in the music, I think I'm doing okay. No, you're going too fast.
Too fast, yeah.
Or you slacked it here or there. And the times that I thought I sucked, you had it right there. Yeah. That's where you fucking had it. I was like, no, this ain't for me, man. Yeah. This isn't rock music. And they're playing oldies and corridos también. And
it's tough, man. It's basic 4/4 music.
Yeah.
It's some of the most difficult music to play. And Yolotli is actually what taught me, because I play with a click track in my ears.
Because Tony's big on that.
The whole show is mapped out from the first note to the very last note. There is interludes. It's nothing I'd ever done before. So when I first started playing, I'd never played with a click track in my life. And Tony's like, "Can you handle it?" I'm like, "Fuck, I hope." And luckily, it came somewhat naturally to me. It was work. The first handful of rehearsals was not easy. Luckily, I practiced a lot at home before I even played with the band. I have a kid at home, and it's preparation. Just getting yourself. If you want something bad enough, you'll get yourself ready and you'll do it. And now I can't imagine playing without it. Especially because everything is super timed. It's like it's so we practice it from beginning to end. I don't know however many times we do it in rehearsal, but it's mapped out. To the lights, everything's mapped out, and there's no room for hold on, let me change my drum head out or whatever. It's like, no, we gotta go. So it's a really cool experience. It's great, actually.
We're getting close to the 2-hour mark, so before we sign off, and this will have to be a continued, man, because like you said earlier, we can go on forever. Before we close off the show, though, I want to ask you guys, going back to your click track, not so much that, but just you guys working with Tony. Tony's I've told him before, I think he's like the metal music, he's a metal music madman. He's so fucking dedicated, and all he puts into it it's intense, man.
Tony is brilliant, is what he is.
Yeah, bro.
He's brilliant.
That's what I mean by madman, bro. Yeah, he's all brilliant. Invested. He's all in.
He's that's the one word I have to. Aside from a great songwriter, he's brilliant. I mean, I've been in the studio with him numerous times, and just he's clicking on the computer and doing all this stuff. And I've never gotten into the technical side of music or production. I'm not that smart. I'm not that patient. I'm not that smart. He's just, in my opinion, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
He could be working in a studio in Nashville or LA easily. Producing Grammy Award bands.
Yeah, and Tony's music, no matter what band he's worked with, I think Tony's music is Tony's music. And as long as I've known Tony, because Tony worked at Job Semics that I worked at too. That's where I initially met him, probably close to 20 years ago already at this point, Jammed out a few times with him, but we were never in a band. But with Tony, every incarnation of every band that he's ever been in, I've always loved his music. And it wasn't until you guys came into play that I fucking told him, I was like, you got it, bro. This is the vocalist that fits the sound that you're putting forth. This is a band that strikes me as the best that you've had so far.
And it was pretty easy when I came in, because you already had a mess of songs. I mean, at any given point, I think he's sitting on, I couldn't even tell you how many songs he's got written. I mean, he's got a library of songs written, but he's a workaholic for sure. Like we would we just dropped a single, we dropped an album last year, but I shit you not, like I would go to his studio space, would track a song and be like, man, this song is sick, it's the shit. Or we completed the album, and like next day I'm getting a text like, hey bro, I've got the next song for you. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me, dude? I'm like, the couch is still warm over there that I just left. But yeah, he's a workaholic. Like Andrew says, he's brilliant, man. Um, he'll show, you look at the way his music is mapped out, and the guy the guy writes, metal orchestras.
Yep.
There's little parts that, if you, as a listener, you don't, it all goes together so well that you don't even know that it's there. It just fits so well, the way that he writes stuff, and it's great for me because, um, whatever you want to call it, formulated music or whatnot, that's the way that I've always written. I've
Mhm.
always written in the same format that he does, so it works super well for me as a vocalist. But man, sometimes he'll show me like, oh, I'm running like 64 channels or some shit. I'm like, what?
It's a lot.
But the thing that's awesome about the way that he does stuff, like Andrew says, the whole show is mapped out from first note to last. When we play live, there's nothing lacking. If you hear it on a track, you're gonna hear it live, and that's one of the biggest geniuses of Tony is he does all his stuff, but he makes it happen live.
And nobody else does that, bro.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely one of the things that sets us apart. Is I remember going and seeing bands, and I remember hearing like orchestra parts on their songs or something, and you would go live, and you were waiting for that part, and it wasn't there. Like, dude, what a jip!
Yep.
But every single little part that he has in those tracks, you'll hear it live on our songs. So which is really cool, and I think it makes us sound really big. It makes us sound almost like orchestra, But yeah, absolutely, Tony's man. He's a really gifted musician and writer, and I'm lucky to have jumped on the train with him. But like you said, he's always told me to. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I've always needed a singer like you, and I mean, now I think we're gonna be a really big
With Brie.
threat because we have Bree now too,
It,
and
it, it adds depth.
yeah, we can definitely play off of each other, and we're already killing it with harmonies and stuff. So I'm like, dude, we have two vocalists. We're gonna go all out.
So you guys gonna add harmonies to the songs that you guys have
Oh
already
yeah,
released?
yeah.
and
We've already reworked.
I imagine with the acoustic stuff, it's
We've
gonna come
we've
into play pretty
reworked
heavy.
most of our set even before we started working on the acoustic stuff. We started doing rehearsals with her, and she's singing pretty much like half of the songs now, or even choruses. We figured out harmonies for her to do and stuff, and I'm obviously we're making it worth it for her to be a part of what we're doing. So moving forward, we're gonna write everything together, and it's really cool because when she came in to do Flatline, she pretty much she worked like the same way me and Tony did. So it was pretty effortless. That's why when she came in, it was originally gonna be just a feature.
How'd you come into play?
I was on her podcast.
Yeah.
She does a podcast called "The Only Thing I Know Is Nothing," or on Instagram it's Totikin.
So I had asked you what it was again because I know I heard it the first time that you had shared it with me.
Yeah.
So when I heard it this last time around, I heard it all the way through, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah.
This is great."
So I was on the podcast with her, and then we a couple of weeks after I did the podcast, we did the release show, and she showed up, and she really dug what we were doing. And like I said, Tony's a workaholic. After we dropped the record, before it was even, before the couch was cooled off, he's like, "Hey, I got another song. Let's start working on it." So at that point, we had done 10 songs, 12 songs. We wanted to do something a little bit different. So we said, like, well, what if we bring in a collaborator? Not necessarily a female vocalist, because in my head I'm like, could be anybody. It could be like a rapper. It could be like just somebody else to kind of make it fresh. And I thought of her because she had mentioned to me that she was looking to get back into doing music. And me and Tony kind of discussed like, well, what about Bree? Because she did some really cool stuff in the past, and she wasn't a heavy music artist, not even close before. So it was something different for her. So, but we brought her in.
It was mountain vibes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mountain Vibes and La Voyage. And we invited her in to do the song, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm down." And we showed her the song and everything, and she dug it. And she came in. We just started going back and forth with ideas, and before you knew it, the song was written. And we're like, man, we were super stoked over the product that we got. So right away, we were like, we got to do a video for this song. We got to do a video. We got to do like a big campaign to market the drop and everything. So she kind of got involved with all of that, and it was just kind of cool to be working with her. So we started talking a little bit. We're like, what if we had her join, like full time? We're like, it was really cool having her write the song with us. We had performed it live. We performed it once live with her at Lowbrow, at the Battle of the Bands, and it was cool. And she brought her vibe to it and everything. So we developed a marketing plan for the single. We planned a video shoot, and the video is going to be probably by the time this is out, the video will be dropped. So, but in all of that, it was just very enjoyable to have her being involved in the band and part of it. And we're like, this chick is cool as hell. She's got a badass voice. She's looking to get back into music. So we're like, let's just roll with it.
Fuck yeah.
Let's just see if she's down.
Somehow she was actually interested in doing it. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was half our fear. Was like, what if this was just a one-off thing for her? What if she wants nothing to go
After.
further?
Yeah. So we were kind of nervous to ask her, like, well, I don't even know if she would want to.
It was like a kid like in elementary school. Like, well, do you like us? Like, circle yes or no. You know, it was.
I thought you were gonna say, "This is my toy," as in your voice. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah. We because we talked about it as a band and we were kind of nervous, like, should we? And then when it came, I think when we actually asked her, nobody literally came out and said, "Do you want to join the band?" It was kind of like, well, we'd like to continue this further with you. Do you want to? And no, I don't think we've even literally asked her, "Do you like the question? Do you want to join the band?" Obviously, it's been implied and she's in, but it was weird. It was.
And how soon was the answer?
It was immediate. It was one night we were rehearsing with her, and we were already working out the set. The thing is that we had a 4-song set for the Lowbrow Battle of the Bands, and we wanted to do that song with her, the flatline that we had written with her. But we said, well, what if they kind of have a problem with us having a guest singer? Like, what if they disqualify us or something? So we're like, well, let's just throw her on the whole set. So, she appears as a member. So we jammed with her, we gelled with her and everything, and she was a blast to have around. So yeah, it was sort of just like, hey, we're enjoying having you around. You want to keep doing it? She's like, yeah, fuck it, yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
So we're looking forward to it, man. I'm really looking forward to. I think myself alone, I bring a lot to the table vocally, but having the ability to do not only male and female vocals, but the harmonies and everything, and be able to pull it off live, I think it's going to put us another level up. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be really cool. It's going to bring a big energy live too, like having 2 front people. I think we'll be able to hype up the crowds and the shows like even more now. So I'm really looking forward to it.
It's gonna be great, bro.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
So should be good, man. You guys watch out for that.
It'll be fun. What do you guys have coming up? I know you got the video coming up.
Yeah, we're gonna be dropping. We already dropped the single. We'll be dropping the video for that.
It'll probably be out by the time that this is released.
Yeah, and then we're working on brand new, fully plugged in heavy music. We're working on some acoustic material just to do something a little bit different. We want to showcase and show everybody that we can be pretty insensitive to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're gonna put some acoustic stuff out, brand new heavy stuff with Brie on it, and just hopefully This year we're hoping we can get out to some cities outside of El Paso. So I think we have a really quality show. So we want to take it out for people to see.
Road trip.
Yep.
Phoenix, Tucson.
Yeah, it's the like regional stuff like that. That's the idea.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
That will be great. On that note, thank you guys for coming. We're gonna have to do this again.
Absolutely.
Next time, bring everybody else.
Yep.
We'll talk to everybody, and
That'd be cool.
we'll continue this too with us, and it'll be great.
Whenever you need a last minute guest because somebody canceled on you, just call us. We'll
Hell yeah, man. Hell
We'll
yeah.
head over.
Yeah, man, it'll be great.
Yep.
So thank you guys again.
Thank you, man.
Let's go.
Appreciate you having
Let's
us.
go have some ribs.
Let's go.
I gotta pee. This has been the Long Story Longer podcast with Rene Rodriguez and the guys from Yolotli, Drew and Adam Tellez.
Peace out, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Peace out.